So the new immersive learning program that we apply to pretty much everything we do now is designed around this idea of not just imparting knowledge, right? Not just going through some content, but it's an immersive format where we have the content delivered over a much longer period of time. So we have a structured program over a much longer period of time. And it includes some learning, right? We want to learn some new things, some new tools, some new techniques, some new philosophies, some new ideas. But at the end of each of those learning sessions, even though we've done some exercises, perhaps practical exercises, demonstrating how it might work within the context of the learning, right? We use liberating structures to help create smaller groups and have people figure out how to use the knowledge, but it's still within the context still within the context of that group of people, right? It's not out in your real organization. It's not out with your real product and your real teams and your real customers. So at the end of each kind of learning session where we learn something new, we have an assignment, and that is an outcome-based assignment. The idea is that for each assignment, we're trying to achieve something. So, for example, I just had the third session of the product management mentor program for a company in Sri Lanka, and their product managers. We talked about value with the product managers, the learning, the piece, the new information I was providing for them was, here's how you can think about value, here's how you can understand value, here's how you can potentially measure value. So we talked about evidence-based management. We talked about the value pyramid, then we talked about evidence-based management, and we talked about other metrics and stories around that. And even people kind of, because we were talking about metrics, they started to bring up other questions around, answering that age-old question, when will it be done? So we talked a little bit about probabilistic forecasting and flow metrics as well, right? So they drove the learning content as well as me having a plan for what I would like them to understand. And then the outcome-based assignment, the assignment that they've got, is to go apply that to their organization. Like what metrics? Go out into your organization and figure out what metrics do you currently use in your organization. What do you collect? How do you use them? And how does it impact on decision making? Right? That's the kind of core part of their assignment. It's to go understand what it is their company has and what their company's doing. But then, in addition to that, perhaps they should start a conversation about, do we have the right metrics? Is there a simpler way to collect the thing we're trying to achieve? Can we optimize this? And start having those conversations. So the outcome from that I'm trying to achieve is that they, as a group, so this was about 16 product managers for one company. They, as a group, either in small groups, go off and have those conversations, as individuals have those conversations, or they can do it all together. I leave it up to them. But when they come back and we're doing our facilitated reflections, the idea that I'm trying to achieve is that they understand more about what it is that their product does and how does it work and what they're trying to achieve with it, because they've looked at how they're measuring their success. They've looked at how they're measuring their capability to deliver the product. And then they're thinking about whether those are the right things they should be looking at, right? Because a lot of the time in organizations, we're looking at the wrong things. We're looking at the wrong data. We perhaps have vanity metrics, metrics that look great, like velocity or story points, but don't actually add any value to the conversation. We've managed to get our original estimate and our actuals within 10% of each other. We're awesome. Yeah, but what value does that provide to the organization? Does it actually provide any greater degree of predictability? Does it actually help the organization understand when things will be done? And the answer is no. But trying to figure out and have those conversations. So they're starting to have those conversations within the organization, not just within themselves, but with other people within the organization. So they're starting that conversation generally in the organization. And then when we come back for the next session, which is usually a week later, a week or 2 weeks later, depending on the what it is we're doing, when we come back for that reflective session, they're explaining what it is they did, what they managed to learn, what they discovered in their organization as they were doing those things, and really sharing not just with each other, but I can help provide them with potential directions that they could take if things weren't working for them, or if things were working well, what might be possible next steps that they could try. And hopefully over time, they're able to figure out a lot of those things themselves, right? When you start from a position of not necessarily understanding something, not doing it, not knowing that you have to do it, and not knowing what you're trying to achieve with it, you need that kind of facilitated reflection to start thinking about what value it brings as you start understanding the value, the outcome that we're trying to achieve, and the value it provides to you and your business. You start getting more engaged with that topic. You start poking at it and pulling at threads and trying to figure that out. So this idea of immersive learning, right? The immersive program. So we apply it both to our training classes and to our mentorship programs. That you have this these outcomes, which will hopefully enable changes within your organization. So there's no guarantees for anything, right? Absolutely no guarantees for anything. Your organization could completely ignore everything you're trying to do. But I find that this type of engagement has the best chance of impact because the participants are able to go start that conversation and then come back and we can all share ideas on why did that not work? Why did people ignore you? Why did they dismiss what it was that you said? I've had product managers come back and they've been told, stay in your lane, right? This is above your pay grade. You need to stay out of this. When in fact, it's something that somebody who is a product manager should be heavily involved in and heavily engaged in. Where do the requirements come from, right? So each of those assignments is designed to be a catalyst for change within the organization through conversation and discussion within that organization. And what we want to be able to do is enable the teams and people within the organization to be able to become more effective, right? By having those conversations, discussing those things, hopefully we'll even make small changes or at least plant the seeds for changes and then start them growing over multiple sessions, right? Because we come back around on similar topics to reinforce them. And that should enable teams and people within the organization to become more effective and be able to focus more effectively on the goals that they're trying to achieve and hopefully have better outcomes for their team, for the people, for the organization, and for the business.